Let me quickly touch on this annotation right here, which is important because I see a lot of people doing this mistake. For unit tests, we should never use this annotation because this will spin up the entire application if not configured correctly, and also load the application context. And you know that within the application context, there's a bunch of beans that we might not even care about when we are within tests. So in here, remember we talked about the application context and it provides a basic functionality for managing beans. So here you have, let's say, beans. So you have customer controller, customer service, and for your test, you don't even care about the customer controller nor the customer service because you are focusing on the data access object layer itself. So therefore, a bunch of these beans, and also there's other beans that Spring initializes for you because it needs, and therefore your test will be slow. So never use @SpringBootTest annotation for unit tests. So, and that's because currently we are focusing on this DAO layer itself in here, right? So DAO layer. And here we don't worry about the business nor the API. We just focus on this. So we have the database. Now, whatever class that we are testing, we see whether we can create the dependencies that the class needs ourselves instead of having a bunch of extra beans and objects that will never be used. So I can actually run this right here, and just to show you, so here, if I remove Flyway migrate all together, or actually just migrate, right? And if I run this, so let's just run this, and this should stop. There we go. And you can see that the test is already slower, but this stopped in here. And let's check the database now itself. So here, if I do docker ps format and then grab the container name, and let's basically bash into it. There we go. And if I type psql-u and then amigos code -d and then amigos code -dao -unit and then test and \l, you can see that we have this database name in here. But if we connect to it, \c connect and then \d, check this out. We have customer, we have the sequence, and we have the Flyway schema history table. So you see that basically there's something which is applying the migrations for us in the auto configuration process. And if I resume this, and what I want to show you is the beans which are created for us. So in here, what I'm going to do is, let's just go at the very top and let's just say private and then application and then context. Oops, not that one. Application and then context from Spring framework.context. So this one here, and then application context. And here we can actually auto wire this guy. There we go. And within this test, let's just say south and then application context dot and then get bean definition count. So we could also basically loop through everything. So let's just quickly do it. So application context dot get, and then I think it's bean. So let's just have a look. So I think it's, yeah, bean definition names dot, and then let's do for each. So for in here, the name and south and then name. So this time I'm just going to run this test. So just run it, not even debug. And in here, if you look carefully, maybe you saw the logo for Spring Boot. But if I select this test on its own, so here we have, check this out, we have 230 beans, that were created. And then here we are listing all of them, literally all of them. And if I show you Flyway, so Flyway, have a look. It's right here, Flyway auto configuration. So this is what's basically applying the configuration for us, and also Flyway initializer. So these beans were responsible for performing the migration. So you can see that this is just waste. Literally, this is just waste. 230 beans for this test. Now in here, if you look into this class, customer JDBC data access service, we only need the JDBC template as well as the customer row mapper. So only 2 objects. So this is why you should never use this annotation for unit tests. For integration tests, feel free to do it, but for unit tests, please don't. Let me just remove this because we don't need it. And hopefully you've learned something useful in here. So also, let's just get rid of this. And we need this. Cool. If you have any questions on this, drop me a message. Otherwise, catch me on the next one.